Welcome to Heeks and Dragon, here be Dragon. So today I'm just gonna give a little talk here, a little rant. Gonna just speak my mind about David Grusch, who is the whistleblower that states that we, the United States and other countries have recovered dozens of alien spacecraft. There's quite a few issues with that. I have a feeling I know what's going on here. Well, I have a pretty good guess. It also kind of seems to make sense, so I'm going to run that by everyone. But first of all, let's look at this interview that he did with News Nation, and let's kind of hit on the points that kind of throw questions as to what he is saying. All right, let's go.
Sat down with investigative journalist Colt Hart, who is reporting for News Nation on the bombshell whistleblower complaint filed with Congress and the Intelligence Community Inspector General. According to the complaint, in July 2021, Mr. Grusch confidentially provided UAP, unidentified aerial phenomena related classified information, to the Department of Defense Inspector General. At that time, Mr. Grusch communicated classified information about the improper withholding and or concealment of classified material from the U.S. Congress by certain IC elements. News Nation has confirmed Grusch's credentials, but he says he can't show us the proof of the alien craft for national security reasons.
So that says that he's actually ran this by someone, and what he is telling us isn't classified. So he's not really whistleblowing anything, because they're okaying what he's telling us. They're saying, yeah, you can say this, but not whatever he's saying he can't say, obviously. So that right there, I don't know, that kind of raises a red flag. Why would this not be classified? The fact that we have non-human craft, allegedly have found and recovered non-human craft. Why is that not classified? That's a little weird.
In a somewhat frightening revelation, Grusch claims the non-human species may not be friendly.
I've been told that there have been attempts to bring down craft, that we've acted offensively against non-human craft.
There have been instances, and there are certain techniques.
Have human beings been hurt or killed by a non-human intelligence?
While I can't get into the specifics because that would reveal certain U.S. classified operations, I was...
Again, suggesting what he's saying is not classified.
Briefed by a few individuals on the program that there were malevolent events like that. Yeah.
Grusch says he has to be careful about providing detail. He shared this letter with us from the Department of Defense, giving him permission to do the interview with News Nation. It says the interview questions are approved for public release. However, this approval does not include any photograph, picture, exhibit, caption, or other supplemental material not specifically approved by this office. Our concurrence for release does not imply DoD endorsement or factual accuracy of the material. Grusch says the United States is not the only country that has encountered non-human intelligence. He says our geopolitical rivals have their own crash retrieval programs.
We're in a competition with their adversaries to understand this, and it's a multi-decade Cold War that has been under our nose for so long, and there is no good way to level the playing field and hold other nation states accountable if they're doing unethical or illicit activity as it relates to this subject. And I think the obtuse secrecy is actually putting us in a very dangerous position where a country might make a breakthrough. Let's say it's an adversary of ours. And it is so destabilizing.
The secrecy is the main reason Grusch says he is coming forward. He's concerned Congress is being kept in the dark, and it's a matter of national security.
This is not a question I had on my bingo card last week. It is not my sweet spot. Although I am a defense appropriator, I am part of classified briefings. This is nothing that has come up.
I saw the report. It sounds fascinating, but if there's anything there, we got to investigate. Just like we would investigate a foreign country that has a balloon over our sky.
And again, Chairman of the House Oversight Committee, James Comer, says they do intend to have hearings on UFOs. And we just learned the committee confirming that they are in the preliminary stages of getting those hearings together. And regardless of whether you believe David Grusch, this really is an emerging area. You know, Congress has been looking to this into the past. And clearly, based on what we've seen today, they're taking this seriously. They want to look into it.
So the Department of Defense gave David Grusch permission to talk about this? Did they know what he was going to say?
They did, and we have that letter, which is interesting. When you're at the level he was at and you have that kind of classified information, he was concerned, obviously, breaking the law and come out and talk about things. So he told them what he intended to talk about, and they essentially gave him permission in that letter, as you heard, only saying not to share specific photos or any sort of visual aids. But they also said in that letter, we're also not saying that what you're saying is true either.
Now, it's also important to note that he has no photos or other evidence to provide anyways. So that's all completely moot.
Right. It was.
Which is important.
Right. And yet still I keep coming back to the point, you know, over and over he says, I was briefed on these non-human aircraft. I was briefed on attacks of some kind between our pilots or our defense and these non-human aircraft. He never saw this firsthand. Isn't this all secondhand information? Like,
yeah,
somebody told me?
It is essentially, and I'm glad you're bringing that up again. I mean, we can confirm his credentials. Very, very high-level U.S. intelligence officer, Air Force veteran, on the task force that investigates UFOs, but he was not in this specific program. He didn't see the craft for himself. These are all accounts based on people who he spoke to.
Okay.
Exactly. So everything he's talking about, he's never actually seen it. He has no proof of it. It's someone told him about this. Now, first of all, he's high up in the intelligence community. Now, from my understanding of the UAP program that he was in, this was the UAP program before it got, leaked out and became a bigger thing. He was a part of that. Now, there was a lot of issues with that because the people running that program were not scientists. They did not have a science background at all, yet they were investigating UAPs. They were just Air Force personnel with, basic education, really. And this became a really big issue, and it still really is because there's still people investigating this stuff, reporting to Congress and stuff, and yet they aren't scientists. They aren't following the scientific method. There is no peer review. There's nothing like that. And that's why repeatedly these big, UAP clips that we keep finding from fighter jets and stuff keep getting debunked over and over and over. One is almost definitely a goose. I mean, it's, so that's a big issue. But I don't think he's actually lying. And I'll explain that in a bit. But first of all, let's, talk about the issues with, the way I spelled that really badly. Let's think about what he's actually claiming is happening here. Okay, so they have recovered dozens of spacecraft. Okay, alien spacecraft. The United States has recovered. Other countries have also recovered spacecraft from aliens. So that means there has to be 30, 40, 50 or more alien spacecraft that have crashed and have been recovered in the last, 30, 40 years? That's a little weird. I mean, either they have an insanely high failure rate, which for a craft that comes, across the galaxy to here, that somehow, I guess, has bodies in it. Now, if there were no bodies, I could kind of get the idea, because I don't see any alien intelligence using pilots to go, explore across the galaxy. I mean, we are using, just machines. And we'll probably end up using AI and stuff to do exploration. When you don't need to sacrifice people or put people in harm's way, you don't. And if these aliens can get, across the galaxy, then they can obviously do other things. So, that's weird. But the fact that these are failing so much, So they either have a high failure rate, like I said, or there's thousands and thousands of these things. And still, losing 50 of them or so is a huge failure rate. That's just insane for this super advanced aircraft. I mean, we flew all the way across the galaxy and stuff, and then, oops, we can't stop, crash. Or, these people, threw this spear at us, threw this tube at us and knocked us out of the sky. Like, you can go across the galaxy, but you can't avoid a missile. You can't land your craft. Now, so we're looking at, but here's the thing, I was looking at the airline safety performance, and that would mean that these UFOs have a much, much worse safety rating than our current commercial aircraft, which, what was it, the accident rate is, where was it here? I think what I had seen was, one accident in every, 0.83 million flights. So one accident in every million. Now, if that was the case for these alien aircraft, that would mean there would have been, 12? No, 24, 30, 35 million of them that have been here? Which means they have an extremely high failure rate. That is just nuts. So I do not buy that at all. But like I said, I don't think he is lying. Now, here's why I don't think he's lying. He is, he does have the credentials. He did actually work in the UAP research area and stuff. But like I said, he wasn't a scientist. Now, if you are going to run a, big intelligence community where people have classified material, and you have a lot of people that have classified material, and you worry that maybe someone might not be that faithful to your organization at some point, you might want to be a little sneaky and maybe provide them with information that seems a little bit more, amazing, that might be more leakable. And while doing that, you also create this thing to make your own military seem, like a bigger threat than it is. Leaking out something that says, hey, you want to come mess with us, go for it. But you know what? We've been taking on alien aircraft and taking them down. So your little puny, human aircraft, come at us. Try it. In the meantime, here's this guy. It's like, he could be talking about some secret plan to invade Iran or North Korea or something. Or, we've been catching alien, spacecraft. What are you going to talk about? And I have a feeling that's what's going on. I mean, all throughout military history, sneakiness is that's one of the main tactics going on. So I honestly don't think he is lying. I think he heard through other people that there are spacecraft and that we have collected them and stuff. But I am absolutely sure it's not true. In fact, if it comes true that we actually do really have these aircraft and there's actual proof of it, I will eat a hat. I'll buy a hat and I'll actually eat the entire hat. Not like a piece of it like other people have done. I'll eat the whole thing. It might take me a week or two or a month, but I'll eat that. I will eat that hat. Now, so I don't think I'm going to eat a hat though. It doesn't make sense. None of this makes any logical sense. All the UAPs have been, debunked. And like I said, the failure rate on these UFOs is insane. Then let's also think about there's no cameras, we have no footage. We have cameras everywhere. Every time something happens, there's always a video of it. Somehow, somewhere, there is a camera that catches it. Except when it comes to, UFOs and UAPs and, Bigfoot and other ghosts and stuff like that. And then we have other things like the amateur skywatching community. Now, this is a community of people that literally just track satellites and other things up in the sky. And they are crazy good at this. In fact, when we hear things about like spy satellites, what they're doing, what orbits they're in, or a few years ago, we heard about a Russian satellite that dispensed another satellite that then took off and started following a U.S. spy satellite. That was all figured out from amateur skywatchers. In fact, these guys are better than most governments, and most governments, even NORAD, get a lot of their data on tracking satellites from these guys. And these are just amateurs that watch the sky and catalog where satellites go. They also pick up meteors and asteroids and stuff. Every time that there is a near-Earth asteroid or a meteor actually comes in, we usually knew about it because these guys actually see it up there. And they are really, really good at what they do. Now, any spacecraft that's just going to come in and just crash is going to be visible. So the fact that these people that are watching the sky at all times aren't seeing these things, again, just says something weird is going on. Why is it that only certain people can see it and there's never good, solid evidence? You know, yeah, we have these videos, but these videos that we have they've all been debunked, or there's been a good reason for it. You also look, the entire science community is like, meh. Why is everyone meh? Because there is no actual evidence. Science is very rigorous. You can't just see something and go, well, I think it looks like it's a UFO. That's not how science works. So without real evidence, without, extensive evidence, extraordinary evidence, because these are extraordinary claims, science is saying there's nothing there. That is a nothing burger. So that's where we're at. So I really do not think there are any UFOs. I think this guy, he's not a scientist. He's just an average guy, got into the intelligence community. Just because you're in the intelligence community doesn't mean you're actually intelligent. So I think he heard about this stuff through a little disinformation campaign, aimed at throwing off some, classified, people, throwing people off the trail of, some classified programs, or, used to spread misinformation or something to our, enemies or other countries, you could say. There's a bunch of different reasons why something sneaky would be going on, but I think that's what's going on. There's no way that there would be aliens and stuff, and Congress not would know about it, especially if there's that many of them, and he says they aren't friendly. Anyone that defines craft like this and realizes that there are thousands of these things visiting and they aren't friendly would very quickly go, hey, look what we found. We need money for our military. Build a military, and would start preparing a defense. If there's really thousands of alien spacecraft coming here, crashing all the time, and most likely they're probably crashing at high rates. I mean, imagine if one of those things comes in at the speed of light. That would be like a world-ending issue. And we're just keeping it secret, not doing anything about it. That does not sound like any military I know of. I mean, the entire point of military is to protect the nation, which, we would start doing something to protect ourselves, not let it go 30, 40 years, letting these, thousands of craft buzz by. And if there are thousands of them, which there must be if we've collected this many of them that have crashed, that, like I said, there's no pictures of them, nothing like that. And no one else has really seen these. It's just every time someone sees it, it's normally disproven, or, there's no real evidence to it or anything. So I'm not buying it. So I think this was really just a sneaky misinformation campaign that he fell into, and maybe accidentally, on purpose, who knows. And he actually heard this stuff, but it's probably not true. It was just a misdirection. And, now he's doing what they were probably trying to prevent in the first place, is leaking out classified, well, not classified, but, he's whistleblowing. And like I said, this was approved, so what he's saying isn't classified. And, he's saying, I can't release the photos and stuff, but he doesn't have photos. So, again, it's a weird situation, but I don't think anything's going to come of it. I think he's been duped, unfortunately. So, anyways, have a great day. Seriously.
Damn it, you can be a real asshole, Bird, you know that?